What up, guys? Today we got a question from PK, who has been stricken by the curse of the lazy guard player. So he's been training Jiu-Jitsu for about 7 months. He's a white belt, and he's found that when he trains with people of the same skill level as him, he's become very good at being defensive. So when people are trying to pass his guard, they can't do it, and he's able to basically relax and be on his back and does so very comfortably. But he's noticed, and here's the rub, that he's not very offensive off of his back, and his coaches and his training partners have even mentioned it and pointed it out to him. And so he's wondering, like, how can I turn on the offense? How can I get out of my comfort zone and transition from this style of defensive play to being more offensive? And he's looking for some tips on that. So, PK, thank you for the question. So check this out, man. You've got a case of the lazy guard-itis, right? Or lazy guard player-itis. And look, it makes sense, man. Whenever we come into Jiu-Jitsu, we all do this, myself included. We probe around and we find stuff that we're good at. And especially early on, as soon as we find one thing that we're good at, we cling to it. Right? Because it's better than sucking. It's better than getting smashed every single time you get on the mats. So for instance, when I started taking people down by wrestling. I would get on top and I started to develop a liking of guard passing. It felt natural to me, and that's what I wanted to do all the time. Now, I wanted nothing to do with being on my back and playing my guard, right? And that was kind of the flip of the inverse, right, of yours. And again, it makes sense. People do this all the time when they go into the weight room. They find one lift that they're good with, a squat, bench press, or deadlift, or whatever it is, whatever comes natural to them, and they naturally sort of go with that because it's the most comfortable. But obviously, you know that that's not the best thing for you to do, so we got to get out of your comfort zone. So I've had so many students who have come into my gym just like you, who have the same problem, and I'm going to give you 2 solutions to this problem. Do these together at the same time, and this would be my encouragement to you. So the first one, you're probably thinking, isn't going to actually, it has nothing to do with what you're doing, but trust me, it does. And then the second thing will be a little bit more like, it'll make more sense, right? So the first thing, which again isn't going to make sense, but I'll explain, is that I want you to start to be focused on your top game and be focused on guard passing. Now, why would we focus on guard passing when the problem's off of our back? Well, first off, we have to sort of shake free of this mindset that you're a defensive guard player, right? Because you've become attached to this identity. It's who you think you are. You, my friend, are a grappler. And grapplers can play off the top position, they can play off the bottom position, they can escape, they have to be well-rounded and multifaceted. As a grappler, you can't be simply, I'm really good off my back and that's all that I can do. That's not what we're looking for, right? And so what you want to do is you want to be very focused on your guard passing and doing that. Now, what this does also, too, is you are now going to get yourself uncomfortable because I'm sure you're probably, and I don't know, I'm assuming here, but you're probably like many of the people that I've run into where, you know, you're rolling with them and they feel so comfortable off their back that you blow on them the wrong way. They just fall over because they're ready to play off their back where they like being. Kind of like me, where if someone put me on my back when I was newer in Jiu-Jitsu and I didn't want to be there, like someone would put pressure and I would just tap out because I would tap out so I could get back up to my feet, take them down, and be on top again, right? Until my coach put a stop to that. He's like, you can't tap out every time I get on top of you, dumbass. You got to fight from the position. And so again, we have to get out of this and get out of our comfort zone. Now, the benefit to doing this, PK, is that if you go through this uncomfortable phase, and again, understand that the way Jiu-Jitsu works, you have to pay for your skill and your progress with discomfort. As you get through this uncomfortable phase and you get on the other end of it, you then can take that around and get better at any position you want to. When my coach forced me on my back as a white belt to play off my back and play guard, I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable, but on the other end of it, I was like, I got better at playing off my back, was able to even go into competitions and play off my back, and then it sort of opened my eyes like, this is what I have to do everywhere, right, at some point. And so again, that's one part of it. Play from the top, and also just from a strategic standpoint, you will have better knowledge of how to defeat the guard players on top who are passing your guard by understanding what they're trying to do, right? Now, the other idea that would be very useful to you would be to, from your back, pick one attack. That could be one sweep, that could be one submission, that could be one chain attack, whatever it might be, but you're going to pick one thing. Now, why would we do this? Because, again, there's so many options in Jiu-Jitsu. Well, that's the problem, right? Understand that in Jiu-Jitsu, it's just as important as far as what you ignore as what you focus on, right? So what you ignore is just as important as what you focus on. That's important because, again, when you go into Jiu-Jitsu, there's so much you could possibly do, especially talking about guard, right? Like there's so many different things you can do. You don't want to worry about everything you can do. You just need to pick one thing. One sweep, one submission, one chain of attack, whatever it is, and go after that over and over and over again. Now, what this does for you, you sound like a person from our messages together. You sound like someone who's not naturally aggressive. right? You don't have that in you, which is okay. So what we've got to do is we've just got to be technically aggressive. And by limiting the options, you then know what you need to get to technically. So as an example, the other day we were doing arm drags here in my class with butterfly guard. And when it comes to arm drags, one of the main things you need is wrist control. If I can get wrist control, I can set up arm drags. And so I was telling people, like, look, no matter what's going on, if you're thinking arm drag, you can battle whatever, get the wrist. If we can get the wrist, we can get the arm drag. And so guess what? People are fighting for wrist control, as they should. And so for you, if you're thinking like, I'm going for an arm bar, cool. Then the guard could be happening, you're defending, you're doing all your guard retention stuff like normal, but then because you know you're looking for the arm bar, you're like, how can I get this arm and get control of this grip? Whatever arm bar you set up right, you're gonna get control of the arm so you can attack. And that takes away all the options and gets you laser focused, narrowly focused on that one thing. And it can help increase your aggression and your offensive abilities because you're just trying to spam that technique over and over again. And it gets rid of a lot of the hesitant sort of action because you're not sure what you're supposed to do. And so those would be my answers to you, bro. And by the way, guys, if you want to get sort of a list of ideas that you can use to implement into your open rolls and open mat, I put together an ebook that goes into stuff like this where, again, most people don't have control of their training, right? So it's something that you can do if you go to an open mat, if you go to an open rolling session to get more from the training, to really squeeze out more progress from it as much as you can. This is important for a lot of us that, again, have other things that we're doing besides just training all day, right? Because we're not 20 years old. So a lot of you guys that are, holding down jobs, careers, families, and you're trying to get better, could be helpful to you. Check it out in the links down below. But those are the two ideas for you, PK. Pick those two things. Number one, let's get into our top position. Let's pass. Let's take on the mindset of a wrestler. We're not just going to fall back on our back and go there because it's comfortable. We're going to push ourselves to this discomfort, and we're going to get focused on being aggressive from the top player and be a well-rounded grappler. And then when you do end up on your back, when you're doing all your defensive stuff that you're already comfortable with, pick one attack to shoot for. That's the idea of PK. Hopefully it helps. Talk to you guys next time.